You know what? Yeah, I don't know what was going on. Hi everyone, welcome to my reading, welcome to my channel. So as I'm working right now, doing my best, something keeps on disturbing me, and this is something that's been going on since my childhood. I don't know how to explain it, but I need to stop. So we're fixing it right now. We're fixing it right now. Yeah, cycle is complete. So there's something that's trying to mimic a complete cycle. They're trying to mimic a complete cycle, some sort of mimic energy. It's trying to mimic a complete cycle. Yeah, there it is. Same thing. There it is. It's trying to mimic this energy. It's trying to be a mirror. Oh my gosh, it's a lot. But the problem is that it's inevitably going to be a victim or trying to harass. That's harassment. Yeah. So it's some sort of like harassing degradation or distortion trying to mirror a completion. Yeah, it's trying to mirror a completion. Like, yeah, God has been like, God willing energy. God has been willing that us, collective, me, through that energy. But eventually, it's going to slap us in the face if we don't recognize it. This is one of those moments where we're recognizing it. This is my warning. This is my literal warning of recognizing ourselves without that energy. It's something that's causing a lot of harm, right? And the harm, it needs to be healed. It has to be healed. And if it's not healed, the problem is going to continue. All right. I don't know what it is. Okay. But that's what it is. It's trying to act as if it's some sort of orchestration that is supposed to occur before some sort of, it's like a, I don't know why I'm hearing sublimation. Hold on. Hold on. I've been trying to heal this for years. I've been trying to heal this for years. It's been happening to me ever since I was like 5. It's been happening to me for years. Yeah, it's been attempting to, oh wow, it's been attempting to halt and stop refinement, lifting up an exaltation. So refinement is a part there with exaltation. So remember when I said God is refining, right? So we've been getting refined outside of the zone, but in the physical, it's not appearing so, only to blindside that energy. Okay, so we're not the ones that are blindsided, it's blindsided. So it's projecting its blindsidedness at us. It's like that, sighted. Remember? Yup, sighted. Now I see it. Sighted. So yeah, there it is. It's been sighted. It's been sighted. So even if something is sighted, it doesn't mean that it can't still harm in the long run. The whole point of preservation is advanced protection, okay? And so that's what we're working on right now, is that advanced protection, right? Because it's something that has to be given to our children. Yeah, yeah. This is something the Lord is very happy about. Right. This is something that we noticing it, this being the final moments of it, means that the Lord is stepping in because it's the end of something, right? So it's the end of something, and it means that the Lord can step in, right? Because he is the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. He is Jesus Christ. Okay, bars. Okay, that's an entry. All right. So, I mean, like, all right. So this is something that is true, right? So the Lord is true as usual. It's very on brand, very much, very much. So very much. I don't know what that is, but that's what that is. There it is. So it's attempting to do something. Let me see this to yeah, it's attempting to with 2 out there. It's something about false a false principle. It's a principality. And this is not like where a lot of people look up principles and they'll think it's a principality and they'll say principality and it's not a principal, it's not a principle, it's a principality, and they don't know what the difference between a principality and a principle is. It's very sad, very sad. It's not their fault, I don't think, but it's very sad. Like ever since I was young, it was very clear that a principle is a principle and a principality is exactly the opposites. So it's a principality, and it thinks that it's like so wise, yeah? Like as if we can't just leave those people in a separate timeline. That's another thing. Everyone has their own journey, right? Everyone. Just because someone isn't in the brightest timeline doesn't mean they're in the darkest one either. So that's another thing. It's trying to enter the brightest one or the bright timeline where it cannot go. So this is beyond the gray market as well, because the gray market can only exist in the gray timeline, right? The one in between the dark and the light, right? But yeah, exactly. There are only some timelines that allow for certain markets. That's another thing. It's not about condition. For example, you don't there's no need in a light timeline. So you don't need a gray market where that's not a condition. It's a fact. Yeah. And so that's what another thing is. There's something attempting to make seem as if it were someone who is a part of some sort of condition in the light. That is not how things play out. Yeah, that is not how things play out. Yeah, there it is, that bratty, egotistical energy. I'm saying it keeps on, see, devil in reverse. Yeah, it keeps on, yeah, what I say. Oh, I am speaking the facts, right? They are so insatiably attempting to pose. That's what it is. They're trying to pose as a principle, and they're attempting to force God's hand into closing it out at there, like making that the end all be all. How do you say? Yeah, they're making it seem like it's that's the finale. Like that's what I'm saying. That's the final. I don't know how to explain it. The words are summit, apex, quintessence, like paramount finale. But all of that is it's ultimate, right? That's the thing. But the thing about those words is that I'm not talking about the nuance. I'm not talking about, see, nuance. You see what I'm talking about now? Ultimate would be a thing. But ultimatum is a whole different word. That's what I'm trying to say. It's like they want their word to be, no, they want their word to be, yeah, they're attempting to restrict conclusion. You see, that's what it is. You know what I'm talking about now? You see? They're literally not needed, not necessary. But they're attempting to restrict conclusion as to, they can't even get that energy. They can't even get it, bro. They can't even get it. It's not even going to them. It's a whole different sentence. They literally, I'm telling you, you say an in conclusion and they're not involved. They're literally not involved. Because in conclusion, ... You don't see them there. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. They want so badly to make seem as if that they have a part, and they don't. A part, a share, a say-so. What weapon are they using? Holy Spirit, Heavenly Father. So leash holder persona keeps others in the short, controlled influence chain. That has nothing to do with this energy. So that's why they literally are stuck in a separate dimension energy. That's what it is. They have some sort of dimensional condition. They can only exist within that dimension. But within that dimension, because everywhere else they're dead. But within that dimension too, they're being diminished. Yeah, judgment is being called on their whole paradigm because they wanted to compete paradigms with me. They wanted to compete their paradigm with me. I'm multi-dimensional. So they can't compete where they don't compare, first of all. Second of all, it's like a group of individuals possessed by that entity. Yeah, yeah, on some wickedness stuff. So they can only exist. So the paradigm is of wickedness. It's not a real paradigm. It's a triad, isn't it? It's a dark triad energy, mental illness. They belong in hell, not, yeah, exactly, not out here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. God already made it very clear that mentally ill individuals go through hell. That is not some kind of punishment. It is exactly what it seems like. They don't want to accept that they're going through hell and that they're mentally ill. That is not anybody's business. That is theirs and theirs alone. Literally. That is literally theirs and theirs alone. Like it's even a mercy. It's even a mercy for them to be aware that they're going through hell. They don't want to be aware that they're going through hell. It's some sort of existentialism as well. That's another thing. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, don't we all go through existentialism? That's what the energy is trying to say. But the reality of the situation is that's just a distraction from the reality that they're actually trying to impose. Like, that's not the question. That is not the question. Not like, yeah, harvest the persona. That's what I thought. Takes credit for other people's hard-earned results. Right. Look, adulterer, adulteress. Deceives spouses, wives, and actual homewrecker. Acts against natural order. Sexually harasses animals. Yeah, idolater, merit loss. That's all their energy. That's all their energy, and that's what they're trying to project. No wonder. Like I said, I've been going through this since I was a kid. They've been trying to project that energy heavy. It's like you can't even enjoy anything because they want to corrupt it and pervert it all the time. And it's from all different angles too, where they're not supposed to exist in. No, we're not, God forbid. Of course we're not adulterers and idolaters and bestialists. Of course we're not. What kind of nonsense is that to now start trying to defend yourself against that collective? Don't you ever pick up on that guilt. Don't you ever, collective. That's not something that you pick up on. That's something you leave exactly where you saw it. If and beg for forgiveness that you even saw it. You see how they're projecting it on me? Beg for forgiveness that you even saw it, because something in your life must have happened to where it took you and your eyes in that direction to begin with. And once you ask for forgiveness, make sure you learn the lesson so you never come across that again. And that's what you do, collective. You don't sit there and ruminate on somebody else's guilt. Okay? That's another thing that they keep on projecting through idolatry. That's why there's merit loss. You see, the merit loss is the fact that you really put your eyes there. There's the fact that your mouth really went in that direction. That's not something that you allow yourself submit to. All right? Yeah, Queen of Pentacles. Don't you ever leave it exactly where it's at. Do not touch a random yam on the streets. Leave it. Leave it. In fact, you're not even supposed to know that there was a yam there. Did you know that? You're not supposed to even know that. So may God forgive you. Really. Yeah. That's really the reality. I'm telling you, God would never put something in your pathway just to try to so that he can now. Are you crazy? You want God to justify himself? That's crazy. They don't even do that for the emperors back in the day. The emperors back in the day will slit your head clean off for even questioning his command. You think that God isn't merciful? So that's what I'm trying to say. Better align yourself, collective. Yeah, this one's it's coming through now. It's coming through now. The truth about the situation. Yeah. The ancestors are now starting to inquire. Or no, They're starting to require. Querer. Seek, ask, search for, seek, investigate, ask, no, choir, for each, 24 sheets. What? Quaterni. Choir, to seek. They're now seeking. They've been found. Huh. That's pretty wild. I'm just learning about something new. Okay. They've been found. Collective. So what's that about? What's that about? What has been found? Yeah. Period. The 5 of Cups. That's what it was. That's what they were projecting in between the mirroring. It was like in between. It's like seeing data and having subliminal messages inside the data. It's like what you're seeing is not what is being outputted. What you're hearing isn't what is being outputted. There's some sort of output that is not the same as what would have been the input if it had been a natural mirror. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, and there they are with the falseness. There they are. Those are the energies. The false questioning, the how dare yous and all that jazz. The trying to distract people, you attempting to make seem as if something is a logical line of questioning. Yeah, it's all going back. It's all going back because it's clearly a distorted image. It's clearly a distortion. Yep, it's clearly a distortion, and it's attempting to mirror something that it can't even perceive itself. That's what it is. So now back to this energy, 9 of Wands. They were causing some victimhood. The issue about the situation, which is being repelled now. Yeah, wow. I can't make it up. It's being repelled, it's being repelled, it's being repelled. Because whatever it is that they're trying, it's like they're trying to flip something. It's like a, oh, dun 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 dun. They're trying to take something, Indiana Jones it, put something that's of seeming equal weight, but not of equal value. You see, something that is of equal weight, but not of equal value. Yep, there it is. And that's what it is. Rebirth and like peace or something. I don't know. Rebirth. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not real rebirth because it's coming out with the Chariot in reverse. It's, they're trying to make it seem like it's devastation. No. It's, yeah, no, their hearts are being weighed. They're going towards devastation. Yeah, that's what's going on. That, though, that energy is, see, they can't accept it. It's something that they can't accept, but it's not, they don't have to. It's one of those things where you can't, yeah. Oh my goodness. It's like rotting, but it's not. It's like being digested. What is that? Postmortem. Decay. Oh my gosh. They really didn't want me to fucking. Oh, but there it is. Yeah. Biodegradation. There it is. Biodegradation. Putrefaction. Putrefaction is what it is. Putrefaction and biodegradation. Putrefaction and biodegradation. Biodegradation is what it is. Biodegradation. They don't want to accept biodegradation. You see, that's probably what was stopping us from learning how to reuse, reduce, recycle. Yeah. You see how it went? Like, I stopped, pause for a second, it wasn't there anymore, and then I continued. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. I told you, it's there. It's that they were trying to cause, so many distractions to act as if remember the veil and everything. I told you it wasn't real. Yeah, biodegradation is though. So there's some sets of individuals. There's some sets of individuals that refuse to accept biodegradation. Biodegradation is such an important fact. It's such an important faculty in death, because it allows for life, the dynamic of life, to come through and bring into life, because biodegradation is so important, just like death is so important. But just because it's so important doesn't mean that you worship it, right? So there are sets of people that refuse to accept biodegradation as a form of death. It's really crazy. So for example, if you want to reduce, reuse, and recycle, and you're trying to learn how to overcome climate change and all that stuff, you don't focus on the biodegradation aspect of it. You focus on the reducing, reusing, and recycling aspect of it. That way, you can actually see biodegradation happen naturally, because we come from God. We come from life. We come from, God gives us life, not death. So in that fact, we can learn to adapt, change, and correlate our experiences with higher dimensional experiences. Whereas there's a lower dimensional experience of adultery, bestiality, and idolatry that these harvest thieves and leash holders keep on attempting to make seem as if we're of some importance in higher timelines, when they're not. And they can't even really exist in a gray market anymore, which means that they can't exist within a market where here, maybe it'll come out. The perfect market. Yeah, they can't exist in the perfect market. That's crazy. You see what I'm saying? Perfect competition. They wanted to, it came out anyway. It came out, wait, no, actually, it's protectionist market. Yeah. So protectionist market has to do with loyalty. Pressure for shielding local industries from foreign competition is the challenge. So pressured local industries. So when local industries are under pressure, it's important to protect livelihoods, right? Loyalty is what's necessary, and support is merited. Support is something that comes with protecting livelihoods, right? So once a livelihood is protected, then support is then provided, right? But this only happens by loyalty exchange, loyalty growth, and so on and so forth, right? Pressure for shielding local industries from foreign competition. So local industries are under pressure right now, because it seems like, not because, but it seems like basically a leash holder persona is someone who keeps others on a short control influence chain. So they like to control people through influences, whether it be subtle, psychological, or manipulative, or however it is, right? It could be music, it could be food, it could be anything. But they use any kind of thing that they feel like they have an expertise on to now influence people. So for example, some people were trying to move my mindset by singing songs that would make me feel a certain kind of way. Maybe they'll reduce their volume or increase their volume, but it's hard to explain those things, because they are all happening in a subconscious space, which is also why it's so hard to then come out and be like, yeah, one of my coworkers is singing subliminal messages about me. I sound crazy, right? So it's important to understand these things on an unconscious and subconscious level to protect yourself, right? Another thing is harvest thief persona. right? This one you can really talk about, right? Takes credit for others' hard-earned results. Now, the only way to really show that you've earned some sort of result is to actually be seen earning them, right? But what happens when someone who is manipulating the environment around them is forcing people to now covertly keep your hard work earned results unseen so that they can come around and, you know what I mean, act like it's theirs? This is also very subconscious because there are things that you manifest in your daily life and actions that you've already made up and made the result of that individuals feel as if that maybe it's theirs to take, right? This isn't just happening for you. This is happening for multiple people in the collective, okay? But this is definitely happening. It's just ending today. It's ending right now because, well, the first and the last is here. God is here to cleanse this whole situation out, so you will see changes happen later on in your life and in everybody else's life. People will wake up to it. I'm just bringing in the news, okay? It's good news, all right? So basically, the path blocker persona energy that they are in is no longer working. So that's the first thing that's being stopped in order for them to be exposed as an idolater, okay? That's someone that's trying to replace true source. Where something really comes from, they're trying to act like, no, it doesn't come from there. It comes from me. It comes from me. Guys, don't listen to them. It comes from me. That's what they try to do. It could be anything. It could be coming from God directly, and they'll still try and act like it's them. Like they have no fucking bounds or limits, okay? They merit loss. The only thing that comes about from them is losses, right? Allegiance to false sources, very self-obsessed. Like, if you really want to know about them, you can check out and get ready for this. Exodus 23 through 5, Isaiah 44, 9 through 20, Psalms 11, 4 through 8, 1 Corinthians 10, 14, 1 John 5, 21, Romans 1, 23, 25, the Quran, Surah 4, 36, 6, 151, 31, 13, Manusmriti 12, 95, and if you, Manusmriti is the Vedic scriptures. And if you really want to go far and wide, check out 10 Evil Acts 3 of Mind from Confucian, right? Confucius. So this is something that's been going on way back when. This ain't nothing new, but it really stops today. And I mean, you know, if it all depends on your timeline at the end of the day, right? If you really mastered overcoming it, if you really understood your lesson, if you really know what's going on, it will not happen to you ever again, right? So, and then that's not where it stops, by the way. It's real bad. Adulterer or adulteress. So that is someone who deceives spouses and wives. They don't have to be their own spouses and wives. It could just be anyone's spouses and wives, but specifically people who are in, or individuals who are married. It could be their marriage. It could be somebody else's marriage. It doesn't matter to them. An actual homewrecker. However, it could be they're homewrecking before you get even married. Like before you could even meet your person, they're already homewrecking. Like it's crazy. They're like up to no good. Okay, they're literally there. They're up to no good. And this is all already in the past, by the way. But you can only come to conclusion of it. That's what they were trying to control. So if you weren't here at the beginning of the reading, that's what they were trying to control, right? Conclusions and what is actually a conclusion, and also where the conclusion comes from, right? So if you really want to know about them, you really want to know what happened and who dealt with them, right? Exodus 20:14, Deuteronomy 22:22, Proverbs 7:5 through 27, Matthew 5:27 through 28, James 4:4. I mean, I usually don't have like, all my cards don't have like this long list, but for them, it's really long. That's how bad it's been. James 4:4, and from the Quran, Surah 17:32, 24:2, 24:3, 4:15, 10 evil acts, 4 of speech. So this is something that they use their minds for and their speech for. So you know when God gives you the mouth and the mind to do certain things, God says, you have the ears to hear, mouth to speak, you know, all those things. They don't care. That's not why they don't want it to be like that. They don't care about that. No, they don't care about that. No, for them, they need it for evil. That's what they believe they were made for, evil. And so they want to use speech and mind to do all these heinous things. Now, bestialis is really crazy because it's not only about like sex with animals. No. It's not only that. It's also about conducting it supervising it, bringing it to others, using it for money, and causing others to do it. It's like a lot of things, right? It doesn't have to be that an individual is that way. It could be that they're enforcing people to be that way. That makes them the culprit of the crime, right? Not the individual who is the victim of it, which is shown right here, right? Which has to be healed, right? So acts against natural order. There's a real natural order to things, a real one, right? It's not only about DNA. It's not only about genetics. It's not only, it's a real natural order, divine one, orchestrated one. The way that flowers and Corinthians grow, or the way that plants get leaves. You know what I mean? The same way photosynthesis occurs. There's a natural order to things. They don't give a they don't care. They don't care about that. Who cares about that, right? Who cares about cloud formations, right? Who cares about DNA, right? They don't care about that, right? But they also sexually harass animals is right there, yeah. See how I said it's not much, right, for most of my cars. This is the one that they've only gotten away with it. They've only had, the divine has only had to deal with something like this a couple times, right? Because it was so disgusting and appalling, right? Exodus 22:19, Surah 7:80 through 81, 10 evil acts, third body evil. You see what I'm saying? And it's funny how it's a third body evil. So it's usually from a third body, like a separate, double separate perspective. It's really deep, okay? You should really study it. It's really cool. Real cool stuff here. Okay, so what they really are, the weapon that they were using for the longest time was the path blocker persona. So a personality that specifically registers path blocking or closes off opportunity to force others down a chosen route. You see, that's what I mean, bestialis. So it's really coming together, the picture of what they were really doing, right? So they were trying to make it seem as if there was no other way for some people to live their lives, as if that, and it's not only about living your life, it's about no other way for thoughts to be processed and formed, right? It could also be that one's own feelings were being registered by the wrong neurological centers at the wrong time. They really subconsciously fuck with people that way, right? They really do that. Like, and they're trying to act like they got some power. Like, that's what they got to do. This is what they're all choosing to do instead of like going to school, you know, study, you know, eat a burger. Like, they don't want to do that. No, that's not fun. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, that's why they're not winning. I just don't, like, it would have been better if they just, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It would have been, I don't know. I'm not here to give them any advice. I'm here to make sure that they're gone. Okay. That's it. That's my job. Anyway, I can feel them thirsting. That's why there's so much life. I can feel them thirsting for, I don't know what from me, honestly, but I've had enough of it personally. So I'm going to make sure that the collective doesn't have to go through this anymore. Don't worry. Okay. That's why God is here. All right. So I'm like purifying right now. It's hot. It's hot. I'm sweating. It's hot. Okay. So, face changer persona. Okay. Alters style, manner, and beliefs depending on the audience. So they're the individual that you probably feel like people might be online, like you don't know who you can trust, you don't know who's really trying to fuck you, like that all that's a projection. Just sideswipe that. That's all a projection. Just remain centered, because the reality of the situation is that they would do anything to enter an altar. Okay, that's, you see what I'm saying? An altar. Okay, so let's look up an altar. Right, altar. You might really know what a word means until you look it up. Okay, I'm just letting you know right now. So altar, it comes from the other of two. So you remember when I said third body evil, right? So now you understand the other from two. Root idea is one of a pair, the second, the other. So they really want to get into like a succession is what it is, because that would make sense, right? The succession, because that would be after one, right? Because that would be like, oh my gosh, like after Christ. Yeah, so they are pretty much like a BCE kind of ideology energy, because it's a principality. Now there are individuals possessed by the entity of that principality. So they're individuals that act on the behalf of that doctrine or false doctrine. So that's what that means, okay? Because if you think about a principle, it has to do about discipline, and they are undisciplined working through a false doctrine, because it's not real discipline. It's like a false loyalty or a false allegiance. Remember, they're very self-obsessed, right? So they also try to put that on people. The entity is like the self-obsession, right? Which obsession has a lot to do with devil energy, right? Devil-like energy. Devil is like obsessive, separating, like, you know what I mean? Cutting, like stuff like that. Evil, wicked, right? So yeah, I am the Empress, yeah. So basically, the energy is very, let's see what it's going through right now. So yeah, an emperor is here. Yeah, an emperor is here, or the emperor is here. So it's like, yeah. So my name contains both my title. I don't even want to even just keep going forward, okay? If you wanted to know, like, who are you? Like, that's who I am. Anyways, I am Amina. My name is Amina. It means someone you can trust. It's written right there in the Bible. So it's also written in the Quran, right? It's also written, I'm pretty sure it's written in all scriptures. I don't mean to brag. It's not bragging, but now that I've said that, right, here it is. Sharing the energy, right? This is what I'm doing. And then there's this energy right here that's attempting, it's trying to cloak itself in that mirror. So I was talking about it's trying to distorted mirror, it's trying to distort mirror images. I knew it. It's trying to distort mirror images. And it's doing too much. It's doing too much. Yeah, exactly. It was trying to come out as the world. It's really weird. It was trying to come out as the world, as a conclusion, but it's not concluding anything. It's not really concluding anything. It's trying to falsify a conclusion real bad. Because there's something that is concluded here. Okay, let's figure it out. Ooh, let's figure it out. Because I feel like, I just feel like it's so exhausting to deal with that energy. There's something that's concluded, right? I can't repeat myself. I already did before. So gate shade persona, okay? So it can't weaponize these things anymore. It's really failing in a way. It can't, yeah. So the gate shade persona stands between resources and people deciding who passes. You see what I'm saying? It used to use that weapon, but it can't anymore. What's the weapon that it's still? So keeps others on short controlled influence chains and takes credit for other. So it's waiting for something to be concluded. That's what it is. It's trying to abuse the principle of temperance, the principle of temperance. Yeah. Basically, it's attempting to abuse temperance, which might be like discipline. I don't know what to say about this. So there's rest in a situation, and that's where it stops. Because in hell, there is no rest. And that's where it belongs, like I said. But it's not showing its restlessness. So I'm calling on judgment on it. Because that's what's going to happen. It's going to have to expose its restlessness. And its restlessness, once it's exposed, is going to reveal the truth of what it is. Yeah. So that's where its restlessness is. The Five of Swords. What's that Five of Swords energy, Holy Spirit? Where's that Five of Swords energy? I mean, where? I didn't mean to say that, Holy Spirit. What is that Five of Swords energy? What is that Five of Swords energy? Yeah. See? The where done came out. It's trying to find somewhere to go. I got an answer. To hell. Yay. It doesn't want to, it wants to take its time. It doesn't have time. It has to go to hell right now. I don't know why it's attempting to like do all that jazz, but that's because it's restless. That's why. So it's, I don't know. It's it's doing the most right now. So it's been acting on mind, projecting through a false mindfulness. Yeah. It's been covering up its evil projections at mind through a false sense of mindfulness. it's like, for example, another person came in here, right? And I was like, I can't really repeat myself. I'm not being mindful. I'm just saying the truth, right? That's something it can't copy. People can't copy that. Or, sorry, individuals that are possessed by that entity can't do the same. They can't do that. They can't openly go, oh, you know what I mean? They can't reveal that, right? Because that's not true. And it's easily found to not be true because you can easily investigate through that and be like, wait, they can repeat themselves. Like, you know what I mean? But they are hiding some sort of, like, they can't remember, and they're projecting the false unremembrance at us, because if it's a projected unremembrance, then we see it as false. That's why. So they can't, forgetfulness, that's what it is. Forgetting of forgetting. So you know when people say forgive and forget, like, you never really forget. The body never really forgets, and the heart never really forgets. You know, the mind, the creative space, it never really forgets, but you can forgive. They're attempting to, like, make it seem as if that they can fake forgiveness by falsifying other people's forgetfulness or remembrance. You see what I'm saying? Because people aren't forgetful. I just said that, right? Like, so that's what I'm saying. You see, and then there's this need for validation. I'm telling you, it's so weird. It's like, let's keep going. What is that Five of Swords? Why is it in reverse? Ooh, it just shot out. What is? Why is it in reverse? Please, Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit. Oh my goodness. So they're trying to mimic that energy so bad. They're trying to mimic some sort of body, a bodily function. They're trying to mimic a bodily function. So they're trying to act as a form. I researched this recently, by the way, you guys. I said this in my other reading, which I will, what'd you call it, pull up, okay? I will pull it up. Be tempered, stay tempered. It's, everything is jet lagging, but it's like, it's a Japanese word for form, because that's the real word for it. Because if you think about form, it takes you to all different kinds of meanings in your mind, in your head. It could take you to document form. It could take you to application form. It could take you all sorts of form. But a form that I mean is actually like shape. But that's why God says shape and form, and not like, you know what I mean? Not only one. You know what I mean? So it's like, hold up, I have to really scroll back because there it is. So it's not keishiki, but katachi. That's what the word is. Katachi. Is it? Yeah, katachi. Right. That's the word for it. Katachi. And so it's attempting to replicate katachi. It's trying to, like, oh shoot, you know what? I just, like, got, like, a sudden realization. You know that, like, conspiracy theory where it was like individuals would get their birth certificates. Someone may be trying to replicate a birth certificate. You see what I'm talking about now? But it's like, it's crazy. So it's like they might also be trying to stop birth to be certified. You see what I'm saying? It's like that might actually be it. Yeah, they're trying to stop certification of birth. Yeah. Yeah. They're trying to act like they're a real aspect to like they want to act like an official that certifies birth. Period. This period. That's what it is. Like, you know, like who tells you, collective, whether or not you can give birth to a child? I don't care if, oh, it's not the right. I don't care. That's not. Why are you listening to that? Why would you listen to anything or anyone telling you when is your time, when God is the one that chooses it for you, and really let it go, right? Because you never know. You never know. You quite literally never know. And so this is a kind of situation where it's like something is trying to manipulate the environment, or something is manipulating individuals to falsify an assumption of control over timing of birth. in order, all in itself, to provide or assume itself as the title of official over certification in that birth. Like as if, and I really don't like to do this, you guys, but it is my main, like, you know what I mean? It is kind of like my power, but I really don't like to like push it like this. But it's like saying, oh yeah, that really would corrupt. Oh, that's so corrupt, bro. Like, it's like saying, oh, how could you, like, you can't give birth without my consent, right? But it's like the whole other person. It's like if you were married and you have, or you might be, right? And your spouse or wife, remember, they're what, adulteress. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be that they're going in there and actually screwing the person you love. It could just be that they could be trying to justify coming in there and deceiving them regardless, right? It could be saying like, oh, who are you to say, you know what I mean? To say that you and your wife want to get pregnant. It's probably something like a fertility clinic too, like individuals that want to get into fertility clinic positions, right? Like I said, it's happening to multiple people in the collective. Individuals trying to get into multiple infertility clinic positions, all so they can contort and control something. You know, like that one guy who put his sperm in a sperm bank, and then he gave like a bunch of people gave birth to like his children, and then he sued them. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's an example. You see what I'm saying now? And that's deceptive towards the wives and husbands. You know what I mean? Spouses and wives, right? They don't know how deep in hell they're going. They don't realize just how much karma they gonna get. You see why you just stay in your straight and narrow. You just stay in your straight and narrow. You don't cause any issues. You don't be going through some sort of revengeful, money hungry plot or whatever. Like, that's crazy. But now you understand why it's a principality and not principle. Okay, you guys gotta really learn the difference, because a lot of people don't know the difference. They think they say principality and then they say the completely wrong description of it, right? We fight not against flesh and blood, but against what? Principalities, powers, right? And individuals in high places, spiritual wickedness, stuff like that, right? You really gotta understand the meanings of that, right? It's not powers, it's power. Yes, are there multiple angels? Yes, but it's all one power, because the one power belongs to God, right? This is the best way that you can, God is really the way in the situation. So instead of finding out what they're going through and what their karma is, because they're already going to hell, you know what I mean? It's about how we're going to be overcoming it and what weapons that are not going to be formed against us, right? And if they do form against us, that they shall not prosper, right? So what'd you call it? Oh, there it goes. So yeah, there they go. Oh, flipping everywhere. It's just going everywhere. Okay, so harvest planner persona. Remember how they were trying to harvest thief? Now this is how they were harvest thieving, because you might be working hard for something, and then like at the end of the day, they try to argue whether it's really yours or not. And the reality of the situation is that it is God's. Like, you see what I'm saying? But for you to now protect yourself, right? Because you don't want to defend yourself, because it's a trap. Trying to defend yourself against these kinds of narcissists is such a huge trap, right? But I just said that. Times interventions to take the largest possible gain. That's what the harvest planner persona is. That's what they do, right? So that's the one weapon that's might be formed, but it shall not prosper. Like latch persona attaches to powerful people to rise with them. Now collective, you already know you're powerful. Well, what do we just say? It's all one power, so you know you're powerful. Okay, don't get it twisted, construed, or any sorts. All right. And here's the weapon that failed, right? So the weapon that failed is shroud persona. So that's what's going to expose them in your lives, collective. So covers truth with obvious blind spots, so it's confusing to uncover. So I already mentioned this at the beginning of the reading, but they've been sighted. They've been sighted. They've been blindsided by our power. They've been blindsided by God's power. They've been blindsided by God's mercy alone. They don't even understand that they were being mercied before this, right? They thought that their existentialism, those individuals who were all part of that scheme and agenda and all that, because It doesn't matter if they're working together, working separately, or that they know each other or that they don't know each other. Okay, whatever it is, it was all one kind of sequence of events and same types of plans, some NPC quest marker, whatever it was, right? But basically, they make it seem like maybe that's another blind spot, right? They didn't realize just how many of them, that's why it came out that way. They didn't realize just how many of them there were and how common it had already been to behave in that way. You see what I'm saying? So they were already blindsided by the history. I remember talking to some people that came out of jail like after 20 years plus, and I said, "Oh yeah, I've heard about something like that. I actually read it in a book." And they were like, "No way. No way." I'm like, you do realize there's like a whole bunch of Netflix films and Netflix movies and a whole bunch of shit, like, you know what I mean, written, and like we already know about this. Like, they don't want to accept this. I kid you not, they don't want to accept this. But imagine how they feel about the Bible. Imagine how they feel about the Quran. Like, I mean, we were watching. Like, we were watching. I mean, we saw that documentary. I mean, we had to. Like, we had to. I mean, it was number one top rated. It was everywhere. Wait, you missed it? Like, that's the energy collective. Told you it was good news. So basically, they've been blindsided. And so them projecting their blindsidedness as if that we don't know, but it's actually them who doesn't know, is what's causing the way that they've been attempting to time their own impeding on people's lives as very obvious, right? And it's about the timing that they impede on people's lives. Like, oh, they want to do things every moon cycle. What wannabe witch hasn't done that, right? You can, and it's like the fact that we have to know about it. Like, what? Yeah. So latching onto powerful people, knowing that when we know we're powerful, we see others as powerful. So it's like, would you call it? Yeah, it's been some people watching like, damn, the time went by. Yeah, it flew by. What'd you call it? Attaches to powerful people to rise with them, right? And it's like we know we're powerful. Now, if you really understand that you're powerful, you see other people as powerful too. And so in that sense, you would understand that they're attempting to attach to the people. It's not about the rising with them, right? That's what they expect. They expect to rise. They expect to be up there. But it's that the fact that they're consumed with the idea that there are types of powerful people, that there are all these different kinds of powerful people and how you're supposed to attach to them. They're not realizing the equity of power. Yeah. And so now, bribe taker, right? Bribe taker. There they are. So covertly lying for profit, lustful bindings to lies. And so that is the projection that was occurring collective. Remember when I said, oh, you were probably about people that you watch. There you go. That's what that's about. So now you know what I meant by just sideswipe that energy. Exodus 23:8, Acts 24:26, Surah 2:188, Manusmriti 9:231, 10 evil acts 3 of body. There's that 3 of body again, right? So lustful bindings to lies. So they lust. That's why I was like salivating and stuff. Because they're lustful. They're lustful to cause there to be some sort of lie, incurring some sort of sin of lying, right? Lying specifically, attempting to contort words and speech and energy and truth, right? Attempting to falsify a coalescence of energy so that they're attempting to falsify a coalescence of energy looks something like when someone covers shit in glitter, and it's like that's still shit even if it's covered in glitter, right? So pressure for conserving resources amid declining demand. And this was the whole thing. This was the market that they were so pissed at. They were trying to project upwards to it's like trying to pee upwards. I kid you not. Like they completely they're so distorted they forget about gravity, right? So they attempt to pee upwards, like quite literally. And it's like all the piss is falling on them and they're not realizing this, right? So the energy of prudence, right? Protects, I already mentioned this. So this is how they've been attempting to mirror future conclusions at present conclusions in as if that they were already to be concluded by their speech or by their, what is that? By their urge. That's what it is. That's what it is. They've been attempting to make seem as if that compliance only occurs by their urge. Yeah, that only if they urge for something to be complied for or towards, as if that's when it works. So yeah, yup, that's what it is. That's what it is. They've been, get behind me, Lucifer. Finally. Yeah, Rat King persona. That's what I thought. Oligopolistic in reverse. They've been finally thrown out. The energy has finally been thrown out. Get behind me, Luciferians, right? So finally, it's like they failed in pressured corporation, where corporation was under pressure. They failed to assert and restore responsibility, right? And this is all so that there would be fair standards. There we go. And now the stability is going to God. The stability is going to God, right? And there's an open market. Yes, we are entering 9D. Although I feel like we don't have to rush. Between the 8D and 9D, it's a long market. So there's not much rush. So pressure for fair access. You see what I mean? Where there's fair standards, there's fair access. So there's pressured fairness, right? Fairness is under pressure. And so the only thing that can withstand the pressure of the only thing that can withstand the challenge of pressured fairness is integrity. So within that integrity, there is a compliance to competing fairly. Now, their urge is not necessary for the conclusion of the competition to be reached, so that that fairness may be then turned into trust. Okay, we don't have to wait for their command or anybody else's but God in order to receive trust from concluded fairness and competition in fairness. So it is what it is. Cycle complete. And that's pretty much it, collective. Yeah, all the rest of it is in reverse. Pretty much it. Yep. So there they are, Webkeeper persona. They're all being thrown out now. So one by one, it's just going to be people being thrown out of that market, right? Webkeeper persona maintains an intricate network of control where every strand leads back to them, right? Ooh. Expanding. Oh, okay, wait, no, this is a different message. Hold on. Sorry, it was the numbers. I was really messed up. You know, I didn't even realize that my number was on there. Netweaver persona. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Keeps person bound to them through shared secrets. Wow. web keeper, shared secrets, builds interconnected obligations so no one can move freely without them. You see what I'm talking about? So that's two weapons, right? They wanted to make it seem like they could maintain or mirror some sort of maintenance, and then they could throw ahead a bait. Yeah, they thought that they could throw ahead a bait and latch, right? Yes, and latch on through a false advancement and then maintain the bait, the latch, the line, the network, right? And also control without responsibility, right? Which makes no sense. It's delusion, right? And then what'd you call it? And then also pull all those things, pull that false sense of security back to them and make it seem as if that there was some sort of shared secret from falsifying the attempt of doing so. So not only falsifying the attempt, falsifying a succession of doing that. There you go, the success of doing that. So NetWeaver persona in reverse means that it failed because they can no longer lie, right? The lying was there. And homewreck in a false order, right? With no authority around anyone's obligations. Yeah, the whole point of the challenge in the expanding market currently, which is coming forth, is pressured scaling, right? Which is also about metronomics. Yep, that's it. Management of measure. Yep. They wanted to make seem as if that they could contort metronomics, but basically it's a pressured scaling, right? With increasing demand. Before it was decreasing, now it's increasing. You know what I'm saying? So pressured scaling, which has to do with metronomics. So they couldn't overcome the challenge of metronomics, so that there would be so that vitality would no as vitality is pronounced within the expanding market, responsible growth is ensured. That way the market share can be provided through the responsible growth, right? But in a sense, it's more about growing responsibly continuously. It's about accepting that vitality might just be so that there would be a growing in responsibility. You see what I'm talking about now? So they couldn't handle that. Remember when I said that they wanted to use their mind for whatever and use their speech and their mouth for whatever when there's a natural order to things? Now we're finding the conclusion that bestiality energy. The reality situation is that's where they got things twisted, misconstrued, fucked up, and all that jazz at. They wanted to use vitality and energy for whatever it is that they wanted to use it for, when God hath created it specifically for in its ordinance to commit in its way where it was supposed to do what it was supposed to do as God chooses it to do and wills it to do. However, they hath not cared about that. They did not care about that, right? Where vitality induces responsibility to expand and growth is necessary, so that then market share could be fundamentally secure. They did not care for any of that. You see the delusion? You see how it's diluted now? Because it's like, it's that bratty energy. I'm telling you, it's that bratty energy. I'm telling you, it's so bratty. It's like whatever it is that they think that they want, they only feel that way due to whatever weapon that they think they can form against whoever it is or whatever it is or whatever or whenever it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can't have it. They won't have it, and they'll never get to want to have it ever again. And that's it. And that's the part, yeah, they can't be obsessed about it. Oh, yeah, ensnared. Actually, they're being seen as obsessive about it and ensnared. So now they're being definitely thrown and slain and obliterated, right? Think they control vanity and substance, right? Would do it all for naught, right? For naught. Now you understand what the naught is, right? Ecclesiastes 2:1 through 11, 2 Timothy 3:4, Surah 45:23, Bhagavad Gita 16:12, 10 evil acts, 3 of mind. So now we can come to a conclusion as God wills it, right? Astaghfirullah, right? Yeah, through strength, right? The conclusion of the whole situation, God is my solace. Yeah. God is my everything, honestly. Jesus is my refuge. The Lord is my refuge. It's because I said God. God is my solace. And so they don't want to accept it. They don't want to accept that they have no parts. Yeah, they have no parts. They don't have shares. They don't have anything. So in conclusion, judgment of alignment is coming through as security. So basically, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So now it's being seen as invocation. Judgment is more about invocation. So now we can really understand what judgment really is. Hey, I love this part. Okay. With the Hierophant and then the Fool right behind it. I'm right there. I'm like, hey. So invocation, Eddie, because I've been looking forward to this moment. They're so mad. This was what they wanted to act like was some sort of shared secret when they didn't even know anything about it. That's what they were trying to use as the weapon and everything. So act of calling upon, act of summoning, appeal, voice. There you go. Calling upon with the voice. See, the voice. So I remember surrendering voice to God. And now it's being clear that a voice allows for appeal. You see what I mean? Appeal, that's where appeal comes from. I knew you have a nice voice, right? Hey, now we get it. So, call to judgment, make a plea, charge with a crime. To call toward is better. That's what it is. To call toward. So, the voices are used for calling toward. So if one is heard, then whither is clear. Yeah, whither is clear. That's it. And we hear the voice of God all the time. Yep. Yes, we do. We hear the voice of God all the time. Yeah. Yep. They were attempting to take it, but it's not working because there are consequences. Yep. The ancestors are here. Yep. Wow. They were attempting. Wow. The ancestors really came through like. Yep. There it is. Chariot in reverse. They don't want to. They want to force decompetition. Can you imagine? Decomposition. There it is. They want to force a decomposition of whether Yeah, they want to cause a decomposition of whither the of whither thou goest. In the mind. Yep. Yep. They want to cause a decomposition of whither thou goest in the mind. And that's why the Chariot was in reverse. So now that that's clear, because they were definitely found. Yeah, they were definitely found. Ancestors definitely found them. Yup. And there's a repairing. There's now a repairing. Yep. That's why the Two of Cups. It's a pairing. Duh. It's the Two of Cups. It's a pairing. Oh my gosh. I just remembered it. Oh, wow. See what I'm saying? It's a pairing. And that's what it is. They wanted to cause there to be a forgetfulness about how one hath gotten to, whence from, no, whence thou had been paired. Yes. Yep. Whence thou had been paired. That's what they wanted to cause forgetfulness about. Yep. And there it is. There's that battle that they were trying to hide. They kept on trying to force there to be. Yeah, there it is. They were trying to urge there to be a battle. A continuous one. Yeah, now there's judgment on them big time. They were trying to cause some sort of continuous battle all the time. All the time. Yeah. Yeah, trying to mirror stability or a stable spirit or a stable mind. Yep. I can't make it up. It's like, look at this. They were trying to act like they were trying to act like, I don't know how to explain this, but remember when I was talking about how somebody was trying to make it seem as if something was trying to make it seem as if that they had the control over when something is born, or they were trying to control production. They were trying to make it seem like they had ultimate control over production, productivity, yeah, and so on and so forth. Yeah, there it is. They were trying to stand in the way, act as a condition between the foundation of production and how something was produced. Yep. They were trying to falsify objective. Yeah. There it is. They're still going. They're still trying. But nah, they're falling. Now it's being cleared. Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm saying. They were attempting to falsify future stipulations so that there would be a forced manifestation of it, to act as an inducer, so that they could project that endorsements needed to be made to them. They wanted to incur endorsements towards them. They were attempting to induce inducements. They were attempting to take bribes from people who did not want to give bribes, basically. Let's just say that. Yeah, they were trying to falsify people's worship. Now it's being seen as being left to the divine. Yeah, God is taking care of it now because it's too much. It's not. It's more than that, actually. It's not about it being too much. It's because God says so. It's because God chooses so. His merciful self, his astaghfirullah, he chooses to, and that's it. I'm giving it to God. God is giving me the opportunity to give it to him. I'm giving it to him. That's it. Bye bye. Bye bye. See y'all. Never. Except for you guys collective. See you guys next time. Bye.